Hi, my friends. It's Matt Christopher again, and welcome back to my channel. We've got some great news. We've hit over 70,000 people have participated in this humble little program. So that's an incredible thing. And every time we hit these milestones, I always want to say thank you, because without your love and support, I wouldn't have this opportunity, and all thanks to you. So over 70,000 now. I think we're 72,000, but just to be sure, we've hit over 70,000 people that have participated in my humble little program. So that's a big thing. So thank you to all of you who have supported me and got me out of my comfort zone and to do my own humble little show. So the theme of this segment is actually enemies, and it's very interesting. When it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses, boy, do they have a lot of enemies. And I don't mean people that dislike Jehovah's Witnesses. What I mean is who they claim are their enemies. Of course, chief amongst them that they are at war with, of course, is us as former members. Now, today I saw that Mike and Kim, I want to say thank you to you for your tireless work. You were highlighting the breaking news once again out of Pennsylvania, and that is, and thanks to the authorities there for listening to victims of sexual abuse, and especially the issues of the pedophile cover-up and also the pernicious activities of those who have hidden in plain sight within the organisation of Jehovah's Witnesses to ply their trade of abusing, grooming, and of course harming children. Now, the authorities in Pennsylvania have taken into custody a number of men. We're getting quite a sizable number of men that have been identified or arrested by the authorities in Pennsylvania. That cluster of pedophiles is being unmasked at an alarming rate, which is great. And why it's alarming is because I don't think that the wider community of Jehovah's Witnesses are even aware of the extent of these people that are in their midst. Now, I know that many of you that are watching this and will watch this are fully aware of the activities of these vicious, terrible people that use the guise of religion, and especially one like Jehovah's Witnesses, where those that take the lead, have a leadership role, are somehow viewed as being handpicked by God. Jehovah's Witnesses still claim that every appointment to especially a position of elder is by means of Jesus Christ. Well, that's another issue. Certainly that is not the behaviour that one would ever ascribe to that of our Lord Jesus Christ. But that's working its way out to the surface. This is a cancer within the organisation that is finding the light of day. Now, what I want to say to Mike and Kim, not just to them, but people like yourselves, have continued for such a long time, and number one, given a clear voice to those who didn't have a voice, and also to understand, which you articulate very well, that this campaign, this war of basically of attrition with Watchtower, to bring to the surface all of the wickedness, all of the corruption that is completely at odds with their claimed position of favoured status from God as His only chosen vessels on earth. And you're brought out especially with their investments, their involvement in big business, and also the sources of money that is coming to them is all hammer blows against Watchtower. But today what I wanted to do is Mike actually was reading from some of the older Watchtowers, I think it was Watchtowers actually, talking about or indicating that Jehovah's Witnesses are not a religion. At the same time, great minds think alike, I was actually doing research from this book, and I'll just bring it up here. It is an absolute must read for anybody that actually wants to know the underlying belief system of Jehovah's Witnesses and their view of others in the community. Now, this book that I'm going to highlight today, if anybody is interested in the theology of Jehovah's Witnesses, you have to get this book, and it's called, if you can see that, Enemies. And this was written by Judge Rutherford, and I'll just get the year that it was written. It was written by Judge Rutherford, it says, 1937. Now, what is found in this book is the manifesto of who they consider to be their enemies. Now, nothing has changed from this. Absolutely nothing. Okay? So please get your hot little hands on this book, Enemies. And if you can't get the hard copy, at least avail yourself of the content from it online. So Enemies, an absolute must. It's a book that is the 101 of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society's view of everybody else bar themselves. Now, I made a previous video about Jehovah's Witnesses and the mindset that dehumanizes people, and I mentioned that those who wish to do harm to others, they start out by dehumanizing them, devaluing them. And we saw the atrocities of World War II. And there was those that are pro-Jehovah's Witness supporters who don't like that idea, don't like what I said about that. Now, for those of you, including Jehovah's Witnesses, that want to know, this is in 1937, what Jehovah's Witnesses felt and where their animosity was towards religion, this book here goes out to point out that Jehovah's Witnesses are not, and by this stage, 1937, they were Jehovah's Witnesses, that religion comes from Satan. They've got nothing to do with religion. They've got nothing to do with Christendom, right? And this is really, this is the hammer blow. So I know that if Mike and Kim haven't already, guys, get into this book. I'm sure you probably have highlighted it, but just a shout out to you, Enemies. I'm going to read, now there's just diatribes against the Catholic Church, against the Jesuits. But I'm going to read just a portion. This is from page 222, easy, 222, of the book Enemies. Get ready for this. Today, the so-called Protestants and the, get ready for this, the Yiddish clergy openly cooperate with and play into the hands of the Roman Catholic hierarchy like foolish simpletons, and thereby aid the hierarchy to carry out on her commercial, religious traffic and increase her revenue. Commercial religion is the stock in trade of all those merchants. The hierarchy takes the lead and the simpletons follow. Okay? Now, for those of you who may not be aware, I think we can clearly identify Protestants, okay, protesting against the Catholic Church and so from Luther on. But many of you may not know this word Yiddish. Most of you will, but some won't. So I'll just show you so hopefully you can see that there. Hopefully I've got that in focus for you. It's very important. Can you see that there? Yiddish clergy. Okay? Now, I know that many of you will know what that means, but for those that don't, we're basically talking, well, not basically, that is a word, a derogatory word, really, for the Jews. Now, in this book, if we continue on, in page 225, I'm just going over, once again, we're attacking the Roman Catholic Church. Here on 225 in the middle, dictators in particular find a strong ally in the hierarchy, and it will be generally found that these dictators are backed up and supported and put in power by hierarchy. Other religious organizations at the present, this is in 1937, the Yiddish and Protestants deal with the Roman Catholic hierarchy because it appears to them to be their selfish advantage. Further down, further down on pages 225. Will the Yiddish and the Protestant clergy ultimately find it disadvantage to link themselves to the hierarchy and be dictated by the hierarchy of the Catholic organization? And here it talks about at the bottom this strange work that apparently Jehovah is doing, this strange work, which is obviously going to come down and deal with the Roman Catholic Church, the Jesuits, and this, and it continues on, the Yiddish and the Protestant movements. Now, why I am highlighting this is that Jehovah's Witnesses, look, I'll put it to you very simply. In the Western democracies, whether it's right or wrong, you seem to be able to beat up on the Catholic Church and the Protestant churches. Okay. And especially if you're meant to be Christian. Somehow the infighting is, people don't want to get involved. Okay, governments don't want to get involved. But what this book does, in short, is shown that the enemies don't just include the Catholic Church and the Jesuits, which it mentions, and the Protestant denominations, but the Yiddish clergy. You know what that's called? Anti-Semitism. Yes, anti-Semitism. Okay? Now, the reason why I highlighted this is because Jehovah's Witnesses, and this was the founding of Jehovah's Witnesses with Rutherford, had a deep hatred not just for the Catholic, Orthodox and Protestant faiths, but also and this is their words, the Yiddish clergy. Now, this book, they have never, ever, ever refuted or changed or recanted from that position that is found in this book. Okay? Now, I'll end this video by saying this, and I'll go back to my previous video. If we have religious freedoms, which we do, and we have at least partial freedom of speech, partial. One thing that nearly everybody agrees is that anti-Semitism is absolutely unacceptable. Now, from a historical point of view, when the Bible students, this is before Rutherford, they were pro-Israel. Couldn't be any more pro-Israel. When Rutherford took over and Jehovah's Witnesses emerged, they became anti-Semitic. Now, when Jehovah's Witnesses talk about the destruction of all religions, which of course they're not a religion, they're a corporation, and that's set forth in their own writings. They are not members of Christendom at all, ruled by Christ, not at all. And in their depictions of the destruction of religious buildings, for instance, the Jewish faith also gets its true comeuppance. Now, this is the point. It's going to take a long time, but one day, books like this are going to find their ways into the hands of the governments and the authorities to actually understand and bring them to task about what they've said. As I said, you seem to be able to kick the daylights out of the Catholic Church and the Protestants and the Orthodox and so forth, because it's viewed as, in some ways, as internal sort of fighting within the Christian denominations. But the open hostility towards Jewish people, this is fact, is something that is viewed very seriously. Now, go back to my previous video. If you produce books like this, should not the authorities at least examine whether you are suitable for taxpayer-funded money, let alone their inability to deal with child molestation issues, let alone their draconian measures of punishment and shunning and psychological and emotional torture to its members, but its death wish on not just apparent fellow Christians, but on Jews. Now, this is a really powerful thing, and my wish is that of our 70-odd thousand people that are part of this humble program, that somehow one of us is able to get a book like this into the hands of people in power that are making decisions, especially on the issue of religious freedoms, and to ask a simple question: is this religious freedom or is this excess? Can we say those things? Can we do those things? Now, I can't answer that. I'm not in a position to answer that. Personally, I find it absolutely morally repugnant to talk like that. You know, that my favourite saying is, "Oh, by the grace of God, go I." It is. So, what I hope with this video, which is enemies, is that all of the dark arts of Watchtower we brought to the surface. At the moment, as I said, there is a propaganda war going on by Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay, the media centres are the movie productions that they go. These are propaganda pieces to put forward, to put what I would call a benign, middle of the road Christian message out, when the reality is this is their manifesto. Nothing's changed about this. Okay, at no point have they said that the comeuppance for the Catholic Church is going to disappear. No, not at all. Have they ever said there's going to be any change to their views on the Jesuits? Absolutely not. What about all the Protestant movement? No, they're part of false religion. So they're going to get their comeuppance. And what about the Yiddish clergy? Okay? Those who represent the Jewish faith. Okay? The simpletons. That's what they're viewed. Simpletons. How do people feel about that? Does that sound like a group that should be getting favoured protection and taxpayer-funded subsidies and monies? Now, you know what my opinion is on that. But as I said, my hope and my prayer is that this video, and especially a book like this, can find its way into the hands of those that have the authority to at least be able to look at this and on balance to be able to say, does this represent the true values of a known non-for-profit religious organisation that fits the standards for an inclusive society? Does that sound like someone or a group of people that should be, at the very least, I'm talking the very least, should be subsidised into the tune of millions and millions and millions, and over the course of its history, I would probably say billions, but certainly in the millions and millions. But I'm Matt Christopher. Thank you very much. And to the over 70,000 of you, thank you for your love and your support. This video is called Enemies. You're my friends. I hope I'm your friend. And together we're doing a great thing. So thank you very much. And I can't wait to produce my next video. Until next time, stay safe. Thank you.